All right, there, ABG fam. Answers by Guess. Fantasy football's inside scoop from outside the box. What up there, Guess?
What's up, Rob? I'm
Hello
excited.
there, sir.
I'm excited to be doing the NFC. We got four more of these five guys for your eyes to go. I messaged you when I sent you my lists, and I said I wasn't too proud of these lists, these two divisions. It's a busy weekend, but so I never went back to them, and I'm just going to take them as they are. But let's take these with a grain of salt today.
All right, grain of salt. All right, let's see what happens. All right, remember, guys, like us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Patreon, and now we are podcasting on Spotify. So if you don't have time to watch these videos, you could always listen to these handsome voices. Always look
Mm.
for those hashtags, answers by guest, and ABGFF. As Nick says, we're in season 7 here. We're going over the NFC now. We're going NFC East Preview, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants, Washington Commanders, and the Dallas Cowboys. The segment that he's mentioned, that you've been doing with the AFC, now the NFC. 5 guys for your eyes. Talk about it, Nick.
Yeah, so we're the inside scoop from outside the box. If it's the first time joining us, or if it isn't and you forgot, we don't waste our time talking about the guys that everybody else is talking about going after. We're going to talk about guys that maybe are flying a little under the radar, maybe a little forgotten, guys that you should be willing to take a stab at probably before others, or maybe even as soon as waiver wires hit and once the season gets rolling as well.
All right, guys, we're going to be ranking them from 5 to 1. And as you've been seeing in the AFC, maybe there's a little surprise at the end. All
Hmm.
right, number 5 on your list, Jalen Tolbert, Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard didn't get his extension today. I wonder how that affects things, and tell us why.
Yeah, I could have had Ronald Jones on the list, but I spoke about Ronald Jones in one of the first video that we did for this season about four guys in new places. We'll see how that shakes out. Anyways, with Davis there and the rookie that they drafted as well, Deuce, I believe, Deuce Vaughn, is that correct?
That is correct.
Um, so we'll see how that goes with Ronald Jones. But Jalen Tolbert was a everybody liked him last year going into the season. He had a lot of steam going in, then saw the field really not at all.
Yeah.
Not sure why or what was going on. They did bring in Brandon Cooks, but it's pretty much, Gallup, who is in and out, CD. Cooks gets hurt. He's getting a little old. He's still young somehow, though. I feel like he's been in the league for 15 years. He's been on 15 teams. But Jalen Tolbert is a guy who last year a lot of people were really high on, didn't see the field at all. It was Jalen Tolbert and Jahan Dotson. People were like, those were the two sleeper rookie wide receivers. We know the story with Dotson. But I think with a year under his belt, Jalen Tolbert does get onto the field more often than not. And I think he solidifies himself into that Gallup role that he just hasn't been able to grasp. And you know how much I like Gallup.
Yeah, I could definitely see him taking over Gallup. And you know what's going to help him too? Schultz not being there, just because that means some more targets to go around. I mean, Ferguson's there; he's going to be the number one guy. But I don't know. Dak's talking about not throwing any interceptions, so maybe that means some more receptions for these guys. All right, going on to number 4 here. This is just a plethora. We're going to go
Yeah.
Giants wide receivers, and then I put New York Giants, and as you put, so many all of the sudden.
Yeah. It's so many all of a sudden. It's just because, not too far ago, not too long ago, the Giants had nobody. And then, we gave you Isaiah Hodgins' name before Isaiah Hodgins was anything. We even had one of our family members, I believe it was Alan, who's a Giants fan, was like, who? I don't even know who he is. I'm like, you'll see. And sure enough, the last like 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season, he was their number one. And, Hodgins is still good to go. And people are going to be drafting him because of that. They got Wandale, who's going to come out of nowhere. They got the rookie Jalen Hyatt, who people are good. They got Paris Campbell, who, if he can stay on the field, is going to be good to go. They still have Sterling Shepard, who is not going to be asked to do much, but he's going to be there. And I'm sure I missed at least one or two.
I still have 4 more on that list.
Yeah, so I mean, I could pull up the list real quick. Slayton, they still have.
Yeah.
They still have Colin Johnson. They drafted another rookie. So this is like basically, again, there's 5 guys for your eyes is people you should have your eyes on. And I really feel like there's no superstar stud. I mean, Hyatt could wind up being the guy, but he's going to be a little overdrafted being a rookie if people know who he is. But it's just the Giants wide receivers. Last year they had nobody. This year they have a bunch of somebodies, and 1 or 2 of them are going to pop off. I think the Giants wide receiver core is going to be solid in like best ball type leagues. You know, you pick up 1 or 2 of these Giants guys, and one of them's going to have a huge week. I don't think that this offense is going to be, you know, 5 different guys get 4 receptions. I think it'll be more like one guy will kill it one week, another guy will kill it another week. So I just keep your eyes peeled for these Giants wide receivers. Let's see how this plays out. Maybe this is something you want to write down, Rob, but I think that's how the Giants are going to go this year. Hodgins, I like, but I think last year he was really it. And I think now with extra guys there, he'll still be used in the red zone. But who'd they get? Darren Waller? Yeah, so
Name.
so they got Waller as well. So it's like, you know, Hodgins going to come down a bit. I wouldn't overdraft him. It's the other guys. It's just be aware that they no longer have no one, is more what this call was about.
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
They even picked up Jamison Crowder.
Oh, they did. Yep.
So, I mean, they really, you're right. They have like 30 guys, but for some reason, I mean, you even called Robinson last year too. I just think him and Hodgins could be your solidified guys. And then you're right. It's kind of rotating. And what I mean by solidify, you're right. It's not going to be a ton of targets. They're going to be on and off game, kind of like you were calling Tampa Bay a few years ago. It's going to be this guy. It's going to be this guy. It's going to be, I think it's going to be, you're right, that kind of week to week situation.
Yep.
All right. Sweet deal. All right. Number 3 on your list. Oh, Mr. Sam Howell.
Everybody knows him now.
They do. His
And
cards are
everybody
being all over the place lately.
Sports card game. Everybody knows. I mean, I can't tell you how cheap I was buying Washington to just load up on some Sam Howell autos, or at least try to, and breaks. I got a couple before anybody knew who he was. And if you watch season 6, and I believe you as well, were just clamoring for him. Get Sam Howell in the game. Finally, they put him in the game. I believe it was just the one towards the end. He looked pretty good, but he's a starter, and they've got weapons. And Rob, you know, because you're in the one dynasty league with me, I drafted him in the last round as my 3rd quarterback. I got Jalen Hurts. I took Love in the 2nd to last round, 3rd to last round, and then I took Sam Howell in the last round. So this is a guy who's starting for a team with a bunch of weapons. They're going to be using my next guy. I don't want to give his name away, but they're going to be using him in a wide receiver role. He wants to play wide receiver. Sam Howell's going to love it. So they just have so many weapons. I feel like if you are punting on a quarterback, he is the ultimate punt quarterback this year. And if it blows up, I don't know, maybe somebody didn't take, I don't know, Derek Carr or something. But I think Sam Howell is going to be next year somebody that everybody's rostering, like in the first 12 QBs.
He did play week 18. It was against Dallas. He had 170 yards and a touchdown and interception, but also ran for 35 and a touchdown. Yeah, so he can utilize his legs. Yeah. You're talking about the guy, and I was going to mention I drafted him. I was going to mention as well that I realized he's your number 2, so let's jump into him. Antonio Gibson from the same team. Yeah. I drafted him Dynasty. He was just sitting out there. I'm like, I'm going to take a chance on him, man.
And I was about to take him, and I think you took him right before me. And I wanted to punch you through the computer screen. I think Gibson he's starting to creep up a little bit. There's starting to be some reports, but I think, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago when we drafted, it was just kind of starting, but I was like trying to get Gibson in my other dynasty league since like May, because I was like, okay, There were times last year where Antonio Gibson looked and played better than Brian Robinson. Much better. Because they finally started to use him the way that 2 years ago when you and I drafted him in the ABG league and they just weren't using him. It was just like, what the hell are you doing? And then they finally started to do it last year. And now, new offensive coordinator, and they're saying, we're going to use him this way. And he's saying, put me in as wide receiver. I am a wide receiver. I was a wide receiver in college. I converted to a running back for this team. I think that he's going to be absolute steal, especially in PPR leagues. People are going to be drafting Brian Robinson. Let them take him. I'm going after Antonio Gibson.
I like the call, man. I kind of feel the same exact way. He reminds me of when Le'Veon Bell used to go out in the cut, and he used to go out as your third wide receiver. He can have that same type of concept. And you're right. He was a receiver in college. So, all right. Number one on your list here, Mr. Kenneth Gainwell. Even with the two guys in front of him that they picked up and traded for?
Yeah. Everybody, if you've watched for the 6 seasons before this year, you know how much I love Rashad Penny since 2018. I've absolutely loved him, but he can't stay on the field. He gets hurt. You know how much I like DeAndre Swift, but he can't stay on the field. He gets hurt. Gainwell last year, last few games of the season, was absolutely killing it. He was the starter going into the offseason before they picked up these two guys. I think that people are going to draft, obviously, Swift, and then they're going to pluck Penny when they need a little bit of depth. I think Gainwell is the one that's being slept on. I could see Gainwell being the number one running back on this team for durability purposes alone. Yeah. They like to use multiple running backs, so there's going to be games where all three of them, and probably, who the hell knows, do they still have Boston Scott? They probably do. Let me look. They do still have Boston Scott, and they still have Trey Sermon. So there's going to be games where other guys are, popping in and stealing things. But I think Kenneth Gainwell at the goal line, Kenneth Gainwell has durability over Swift and Penny. I just think he's being slept on. He knows the team. This is his third season with them. And I just think that over Swift and over Penny, this is the value play. This is the guy that you need to have your eyes on in the NFC East for sure.
I like it, man. Good call. Dude, poor Trey Sermon. Dude, he was so touted and getting fifth on a team now. Just mind-blowing how the NFL is.
I'll never forget the opening day that you were at my house, and we said before the game, before they made Trey Sermon inactive, we did our live show. This was 8:00 in the morning before any of that news was out. We're like, Elijah Mitchell is somebody that you should go grab right now because he's going to pop. And then wouldn't you know, as soon as Trey Sermon was out, everybody was going and scooping up Elijah Mitchell. If you were watching Answers by Guess, you would be always a step ahead, like we say. You'd be getting the inside scoop from outside the box. We were calling Elijah Mitchell before anybody else even knew who he was. That's what we do.
Hashtag truth. All right, coming in with the raw bonus as we do on these videos. It's a name that Nicholas has mentioned before. Brought him up last year. Nope. Okay. Somebody that is a speedster on that same team that has weapons. I'm going to go De'Ami Brown. And let me explain why.
I like it.
Curtis Samuel can't stay on the field.
No.
Who's like Curtis Samuel? De'Ami Brown. They have a new offensive coordinator over there. Who's going to try to utilize the speed of Antonio Gibson as a wide receiver? Why do you need to utilize his speed? Let him be the in and out guy. Let him be the quick passes and let De'Ami Brown just run as fast as possible. Am I saying that again? Is he going to be going for 10 targets, 8 receptions, 79 yards, blah, blah, blah? No. But we saw a game where he got behind the defense a couple times. I think it was Tennessee, and it was like 2 30 or 40-yard touchdowns. And it was pretty nice. So I think he could be a sleeper, man.
That's a great call. That's a great raw bonus, I must say. And it goes right along with Sam Howell. It's just another weapon. Like you said, Jahan Dotson, he did his things in the beginning, got hurt, came back, was okay. I'm sure he'll be fine this year. Scary Terry's the man. here's your number 3, because as we talked about all year with Curtis Samuel, I said, yeah, just forget about him. Just forget about him. They finally figured out how to use him, but now he can't stay healthy. So
One thing I was going to mention too about De'Ami Brown, who's Sam Howell number 1 in practice?
got to be
It's
him.
not Dotson. It's not Terry, because those guys are on the field. Those are your 1 and 2. Curtis Samuel's your 3 out there. Is he technically your number 1 in practice?
Last
Maybe.
year when he was with the backups, you're saying. Yeah.
Exactly. So looking at it from that aspect, him and Sam Howell should have some type of connection, you would hope as well.
Very smart. Very smart.
All right, guys. Remember, always like us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Patreon, and like I said, now podcasting on Spotify.
Wow.
I always look for those hashtag answers by guessing ABGFF, and we'll be back soon with more of the NFC.
Oh, we're getting close.
I can't wait.